All right, everyone. Welcome to Tiger Talk Tuesday, and we are on episode 54. We have a very special guest in the house who joined us actually on episode 6. Kerry Joseph, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited because already a transition has taken place in his life, and we will get to that. For those of you that are new, Kerry Joseph is a former professional football player with a diverse coaching background. He brings extensive experience to the Bears, so he's now as their new quarterbacks coach. So the Chicago Bears in the NFL, for those of you that don't know, with a 17-year playing career spanning the NFL, the CFL, NFL Europe, and the World League. Joseph transitioned to coaching, serving notably with the Seahawks before joining the Bears. He played a pivotal role in developing quarterbacks like Geno Smith, guiding them to Pro Bowl appearances and franchise records. Joseph's coaching journey began at McNeese State, where he excelled both as a player and later as part of the coaching staff, leaving a lasting impression on the football program. I can only imagine. As an athlete, Joseph led the McNeese State Cowboys to 3 Southland Conference titles and notable playoff victories, earning accolades such as the Southland Conference and Louisiana Player of the Year. His impressive career includes standout performances in both the NFL and the CFL, where he earned honors such as the CFL's Outstanding Player. We met actually in Ottawa, and this summer, Kerry will be inducted into the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Welcome.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. That was awesome.
Yeah. I'm so
Good
excited
to
to
be
see
on
you
again.
again. I remember our first chat and you just dropped so many mic drops of so if anyone is new to the series, go back and listen to episode 6 because Kerry has some really great tidbits, and we're joining again today because he did just transition from one NFL team to the next. So talk to us about, obviously this is about transitioning to life after sports, and you have an extensive career, and we got into that a lot in episode 6. But now on the coaching side, you're bouncing around kind of like a player. How does that feel? How did that affect you when you got that news?
You know what? It's always good news when you do have a job.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, things in Seattle didn't go the way we had planned with with Pete Carroll having to resign and to step down. It kind of left all of us that was on staff
Hmm.
that was still under contract, looking for other opportunities. So I was blessed to get this opportunity here in Chicago, and it's all about the transition.
Yeah.
As a coach, it's going to happen at some point. It's part of the what we signed up for, and it's kind of the same deal as a player.
Yeah.
And it's just making that transition, and I just feel that my feet landed where I have an opportunity to impact some other people's lives, some other players, get to meet new coaches, new people that's in the building within the organization here in Chicago. So it's been a great transition, and it's never easy, especially when you have families
Yeah.
having to make that move. But it's part of what we signed up for.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were just talking about that before we started filming about moving into your new place and all the things that go into that. Not only is it a new city, it's a new team, it's all those new relationships. I mean, there's a lot of things that you're going to be learning and growing through. Let's go back again for someone who maybe hadn't watched our first episode together. As an athlete growing up, I remember you really put this on my radar. You said, I don't know if it was your mom who told you, but sports are what you do, they're not who you are. And that has stuck with me with all my interviews since episode 6. So I thank you for that. And I've heard it from many other athletes. Kurt David, who won the Emmy Award for the Glory Days, said the same thing. And I was like, where did I just find out about this statement? Um, Talk to us about why sports are what you do and they're not who you are.
It's about keeping things in the proper perspective. Uh, we all have gifts, we all have talent, and it's what you decide to do with it. I
Yeah.
was blessed to be an athlete, and football was my niche, so I was able to develop that talent into a skill. So you just kind of find your identity, because when you put your identity in
Mm.
what you do, you lose perspective of things.
Yeah.
Your ego gets into the way. You see it all the time in sports where guys are ego driven. instead of just having a competitive edge to play the game or to do whatever you've been blessed to do. So, my mom, my dad, they raised three boys, and they always told us that who we are, believe in who we are, believe in
Mm,
the name that's on our back, represent the name, the Joseph family name, because that's who you are. And whatever you decide to do in life, put your best foot forward and give it your best. You're going to fail sometimes, but your failures are not the end. That's what's going to help you succeed. And I just took that and ran with it. And I
yeah.
made sure that I didn't wrap myself up into what I did and say, hey, I'm this big superstar football player. No, I was always Kerry Joseph playing the game of football.
Yeah, I love that, and, I remember you, I mean, in Ottawa, and, I mean, we talked about it with your time in Seattle, but you're such a stand-up character, and something that I'm very passionate about when I do work with athletes is making sure that the respect and the integrity piece is here, and you're an example, you're a representation of the organization when you're in the grocery store, when you're out, that's your commitment, and, that's something that I was always impressed with the way you carried yourself. I've talked to other of your teammates, even Darren Joseph just the other day, and he's like, "Oh man, what a great guy! He's with the Bears now. That's my favorite team." And when you were with Seattle, one thing that really stood out to me was you talked about the importance of knowing people's names. Knowing the ticket, knowing the people that are volunteering their time all the time to make your dream a reality. What would you say to young athletes to cultivate and nurture that part of them? Because I think for me, that's when community is drawn to the team because you're pouring back into those people that are really supporting you. And I mean, you need all those people at all those roles. What advice would you have for young athletes? How can they really stand out? Yes, you've got the skill set, but what differentiates them where those coaches are like, I've got 10 great guys, but this guy's character and his mindset is bulletproof. What advice would you have for them?
I always say this here to young athletes: you can never do it by yourself.
Mm,
We was put here on this earth to build relationships, to help other people. You can't do anything by yourself.
hmm.
So for me, I look at it as when I walk in the building, I need that security person to make sure I'm safe.
Yeah.
When I see that custodian, I need that custodian to make sure my locker the locker room is clean, the bathroom is clean. I said it earlier. Everybody has a gift. Everybody has a talent. I need the people that's on the third floor or the second floor in administration. I need them to make sure the payroll is correct. You,
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
Exactly.
you need them to be able to you need them to be able to run the organization a proper way of getting things lined up. So everybody has a hand into it for something to be successful.
Yeah.
So why not get to know them? Yeah, when you have an organization like the NFL, yeah, you're not going to know everyone.
Mhm.
But if you just take the time to get to know people, you never know how you can help that person. You never know who that person knows. It's about relationships. It's about communication. It's about a four-letter word that I hold dear to my heart, and that's love.
Mm.
It's love, and I think it's missing in the world today. But it's about loving other people, even the people that you may not know that well. They're still a person. They're a human being that might just want to smile one day. You never know your smile or saying good morning and a smile,
Yeah.
what it'll do for another person.
Well, and that's a beautiful segue into the fact, I mean, I truly believe we're all struggling from something we know nothing about, and there's so many different aspects of our lives, personal, professional, financial. You never know what someone's struggling with. Interper interper interpersonal relationships, is that a word? But we all are struggling, and that taking that extra second to be compassionate and to be empathetic and to give I love to assume the best in people. I don't assume the worst. I assume, you know what, they're probably having a bad day and I just caught them, in a moment or something like that. So I love that. When we talk about transitioning to life after sports, and I think about what has driven myself to bring these conversations to light, if somebody is going through that dark time and they're just feeling lost and they don't know what to do and they don't have hope is seems like it's very far in front of them, what would you advise them to do first? Where would you go to maybe ground and connect to that next step?
For me, it's I always go to prayer.
Hmm.
For me, I always take time, and I know everybody spiritually or in different places. For me, it's about prayer. And why? Because it gives me a time to reflect on the circumstance, reflect on the problem. Because for me, it's all about finding solutions, not
Hmm.
to just hang my head and worry about a problem. And then
Yeah.
also, it gives me an opportunity to just meditate and think about, okay, who is the right people that I can connect with? Someone that is going to tell me not what I want to hear, but it's going to tell me what I need to hear
Yeah.
and give me the right perspective on things, whether it's a parent, whether it's a good friend, whether it's a pastor, whether it's another coach, a mentor. That's why I said it earlier. You need someone. Everybody needs a mentor in life.
I agree.
And whatever you're doing, I feel that everybody needs a mentor because now you have someone that can, like I said, that can tell you what you need to hear and
Hmm.
give you some directions, whether it's harsh, whether it's right, whether you're wrong, but just kind of to line you up. Because once again, if you try to do it by yourself, you're going on your perspective, you're going on your thoughts. Sometimes seeing it from a different angle in a different way can give you an opportunity to get out of that situation that you're in.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I think that really goes back to coachability. I see so many talented athletes that kind of have their walls up around either feedback or the, and I try to let them know the best ones that make it are highly coachable. Getting to the NFL level, what do athletes, do you not feel that that's um a no-brainer for from a coachability standpoint, being open to learning and trying new things? Yes, we have our skill sets that got us to a certain level, and sometimes they're hard to break. But what's your theory or perspective when it comes to coachability in athletes, and how important it is?
It's very important. I think it's one of the things that we look at big time is about being coachable. When we talking about scouting people, scouting guys, when I was coaching in college football, it was about recruiting high school kids. Hey, is he coachable? How does he
Mhm.
learn? And it's tough. It's tough these days because a lot of the youth and younger generation they know everything. When you look at when you look at college athletes now with the NIL transfer portal to be able to do what they want to do when they want to do it, it makes it a little bit tougher. But my advice to young athletes is you don't know everything. As a coach, we don't know everything. Once again, you're always learning.
Yeah,
Until you're 6 feet under, you're always learning. And everybody has knowledge. Everybody has wisdom. Are
yeah,
you willing to go and get it?
yeah,
You got to go get it because if you go get it, that's where you find power. That's where you find strength. Uh, and it's tough because not everybody's that way. As a coach, the first thing that I do is I try to connect with the person.
hmm,
It's about connecting with the person, getting to know and build a relationship with that person. First, I have to let my wall down so they
yeah,
can see who I am. I have to be transparent with them. Now, when they're comfortable, now they're going to let their wall down. And then now we can build a partnership and a relationship that now I can coach them the way they need to be coached and give them that information that they need. And it just starts with those building those relationships. Because as a player, that's what I wanted. I
yeah.
didn't want a coach to just come in and tell me, "Oh, you need to do this, you need to do that," and you never sat down and had a conversation with me.
Yeah. How do you know, right? I know.
I don't
I
know if I can
remember I
trust
was
you.
on a podcast, and they're like, "What would you say so and so needs to do?" I was like, "I've spent 5 minutes with him. I'm not gonna dare say what I think he needs to do. I need to spend some time." So I respect that, especially as a coach. I mean, your words, your external words, world. Oh my God, I can't speak today. Your external words can become our internal. Like I hear so many coaches. I hear my dad. I hear my mom. I hear their voices in my heads all the time, and taking that role that you play so importantly, right? Then you're wanting to the athlete, you need them to come to the same. You bring 100%, I want to bring 100% too, right? So I love that. Um, what would you say was the toughest transition throughout your career to date that you really had to navigate? That was a bit of a bigger bridge to jump. based on? I mean, you're catching, obviously you're getting in the coaching now. You've been in the NFL a bit, from the CFL or your high school. Which was probably the toughest gap to bridge?
I think going from playing to coaching.
Yeah. Why?
I think because I think I talked about this in the first time in segment 6. See, I remember. I think I talked about that. I think it was about, as a player, I was in a structured environment all my life,
Mm-hmm.
and that's another. It's talking about connecting with this next generation and the players that I coach.
Mm-hmm.
They're in a structured environment, and that's what we know. That's all we know. And then when the day I said, after 2014, and I said, you know what, I'm done. I'm done playing. It's time to step to the next one and start coaching and training athletes. Well, I started living in a world that was unstructured. I
Mm-hmm.
was dealing with people that call meetings at any time. I was dealing with people that, oh, let's meet at such and such time, but then don't show up on time. Well, for me, you told me we're gonna meet at a certain time. I got other things I need to do. I struggle with that.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of find myself in that transition. And what it taught me was continue to structure my day.
Mm-hmm.
So continue to have a plan. Even today, like I have a plan. When I journal, when I write into my vision book, into my dreams, my goals. So now I know how my day is going to go. So when coach calls that 10 o'clock staff meeting and it's 9:30, you know what? My day is already structured. I just got to step out of it for a minute and then I can get back into doing what I need to do. So once I found that, that helped me in my transition because it was tough at first. I found myself being a little depressed
Yep.
uh, because I was just in an unstructured world and I didn't know anything. My
Yeah.
mind was programmed. I was
Yeah.
programmed a certain way.
It's so important that, and thank you for your honesty and sharing that, because it happens to the best. I mean, I've talked to so many athletes on this series so far, and they're at the top of their game and they were struggling mentally. But I think you really touched upon something that I'm very passionate about, and the journaling piece. And we talk a lot about what we listen to when we work out. Like, remember, we're sending those videos back and forth to each other, and I fueling your brain with those sort of things. Talk to us about the power of journaling for you and what it's done for you as you've ascended as an athlete, as a coach, as a player, as a person.
I think number one, it helps you to write your thoughts down when you're alone and things are going to your through your mind. Like at night, it helps you to write what you have to get done tomorrow, things that you're thinking about. By writing them down, it allows your mind to put it on paper, and you're not lying in your bed at 10, 11 o'clock at night thinking about the next day. You
Mm-hmm.
already put it down on paper. So when you go to sleep, subconsciously, you already are programmed programming that in your mind while you're sleeping. So when you get up the next day, it flows right into it.
Yeah.
For me, in the morning time, it's about writing visions and dreams down, goals that I want to get accomplished, because I do it every day. I do it every day, so I can I can see it when I write it down. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I know we on Zoom right now. This is my little book. This is my little book. You know, and I write that down. There it is. And, and Janine, I tell you this here. I'll say this. I did it probably the last 3 years when I got into the NFL. I started doing it,
Mm-hmm.
and three of the things that I wrote down of what I wanted to get accomplished
They've all
when I got
happened.
this job. When I got this job in Chicago, boom, I scratched them off the list.
Woo!
You know, so when you put the vision down
Mm.
and you believe in it and you work toward it, I pray on it. It can happen. Do they all? No, but you got to put it down on paper. You got to write the vision down on paper.
I think you touched on two really important things: belief and betting on yourself. So when you write down those goals and dreams, this comes up a lot because as we all navigate our journeys, some people that are very close to you might question your choices or why you want to do something. And I always tell people, I'm like, it's your dream. They don't need to get it or see it. It lives in you for a reason, right? And it's the gift that you've been given that is supposed to come out to the world. But so writing down your goals and dreams, when did you feel like you really lacked confidence? And when did you feel like that trust that you created with yourself was really solidified? Like for me, it was after breast cancer. I mean, that took a long time. I'm 42, I'll be 43, but that really forced me to have a real hard chat with Janine on the inside. When did you develop that trust, and talk to me about belief in yourself?
You know what? Once I transitioned from actually I had a couple opportunities when I was playing. I remember after the 2006 season in Saskatchewan, I remember we lost to BC, to British Columbia, in the Western Finals in BC. And I remember after that game, they were on the field holding up the Western Conference trophy. And I walked in the locker room, but I walked back out because I wanted to see it. In the CFL, it was always said that you don't touch. It's a jinx to touch the Western or the Eastern Division trophy. You don't touch it. Okay. So I came back out and I watched the confetti. I watched it all fall, watched them celebrate. And I remember it was a teammate of mine, Fred Perry. And I walked by him and I told him, I said, we coming back here next year and we're gonna win and we're gonna win this Grey Cup. And he looked at me like, and he just stared at me and I walked off. But I took what I said to him, even though I didn't write it down, I said it. And I took it into my off-season training, into my work. And we came back that next year, went into BC, beat them, and then went on to win the Grey Cup that year. So for me, that's where it's all about. It's about believing in yourself. It's about believing and speaking it into existence. And then transitioning into the coaching world. When I was coaching college football, I knew I wanted to coach in the NFL. And I would always tell myself and write it down, I want to be an NFL coach. I want to coach in
Mm,
the NFL. I just need an opportunity. Well, opportunity came in Seattle. I took advantage of it.
yeah.
Got into the NFL. I started writing my dreams and goals down, what I wanted to get accomplished, what's my next step, what I wanted my next contract to look like, and I would write it down. And guess what? I had a year after right before the 2023 season. I didn't get the quarterback job in Seattle. I got passed on, but I had to stay. I had to be the assistant quarterback coach. It was frustrating, but guess what? My vision never changed.
Yeah.
Being a
And
quarterback
looking
coach in the
back, did it
NFL,
set you up for success when you were the coach?
yes, because I
Mhm.
took, instead of being angry and frustrated, I just refocused myself and I just said, okay, it wasn't my time.
Mm,
Let me gain some more information from this next quarterback coach that I'm gonna be working under, and let me gain information and knowledge from him. And I did that with an open heart because I knew at the end of the day I had to help everybody else family eat. I had to
mm,
feed everybody else family by the job that I had to do. I had to help Geno Smith, Drew Lock, who's the backup quarterback, and it helped set me up for where I am now and the knowledge that I have. And it can be frustrating, but
yeah.
like I said earlier, failure is not the end.
No.
If you fail at something, if you miss an opportunity, number one, it probably just wasn't your time. And number two, it's something that you can learn to help you be successful for the next step.
It's funny that you said that, because when I was chatting with Donovan Bailey earlier this week, that was the advice his that he clung to from his mom, Daisy. It's just not your time. And that patience piece. And I remember saying, like, what would be your advice to your younger self? And he goes, just to be more patient. I think as we're overachievers, and sports came easy to me. I'm like, I was gifted with a very athletic body and physicality, and it allowed me to have very quick success. But to get to that next level, I love that you're speaking to the patient part, or the vision is still there, but maybe it's not going to happen the way you want it to. And that really leads me into blind faith. And I think so many times about my own journey and my goals and dreams, which like I've had dreams of speaking since I don't even know how long. And it was only when I truly applied myself consistently. I mean, I've been chatting with you since I have been speaking since 2010, but I remember sharing my goals with you along the way. And I even remember being like, someone's gonna see me, Kerry, and just understand my heart and soul that's into this. And the right person is gonna give you the chance. And it's just amazing how that has happened for me. And when you speak to that coaching goal, what were those moments like behind closed doors? Like, I mean, you have moments, I'm sure, where you're like, F this, I'm quitting. How do you talk yourself out of that mindset to get you back into a peak state? Clearly, you help other people. I love that you said you help these other guys achieve their goals. That is the quickest way right there. But is that when you go to the gym, or you said you go to prayer? This is a moment for prayer for you, a reflection, or just for someone who's struggling that they didn't get what they thought they were going to get, and they're struggling to see the rainbow again.
You know what? Yeah, I'm glad you said that because I always talk about helping other people, but sometimes you got to find a way to help yourself.
Mm.
Uh, and I've gone through those tough times. That was
Mhm.
one of them when I got passed on in Seattle because I've seen for 3 years everybody that got promoted from within, and then when I had the opportunity to get promoted from within, I didn't,
Mm.
and it was frustrating. It was frustrating for me.
Yeah.
It happened for me. It happened to me as a player. You go into those dark places at times. For me, it's going to the gym, it's going to the golf course. It's just kind of trying to get my thoughts together and just to recollect my thoughts,
Hmm.
find my motivation, find my purpose. I think everybody has to have a purpose. If you have no purpose in life, you're selling yourself short. You're not giving yourself a chance. You got to have a purpose. So for me, what was my purpose? When those moments come, what is my purpose? What I want to get accomplished? And then
Hmm.
I think about, I always go back to, I'm not going to let someone tell me or stop me
Yeah.
from going where I want to go.
Yeah.
I was taught this at, I want to say I was in high school. And I was
Yeah.
taught this from a cousin of mine. You never,
Thanks,
you
cuz.
ne- I heard it twice. I heard it from a cousin, and then I heard it from a coach in Canada when I was in Edmonton. You never say yes to can't.
Mm.
And people look at me when I say that, and it's like, "What you mean?" I said, "You never let somebody tell you what you can't do.
No.
You never say yes to that word can't."
And it's
So,
such a noisy world. Like I think about, especially like I'm very grateful I did not grow up in the social media era. I really am. I see parents, the biggest struggle right now is getting kids off social media, or you see the mental health issues that are going on. What would you say to young athletes? Like how do you starve their distractions in such a noisy world? What would be your advice to them so that you
you
can
know,
focus on the things that you want to do?
it's about putting the right people around you.
Mm.
Making sure you got to surround yourself with positive people, people that are in your corner. They tell
Hmm.
you don't tell your dreams to everyone. You touched on that. You can't tell your dreams to everyone because people will tell you, well, yeah, that'll never happen for you. You're crazy thinking that. Well,
Yeah.
it's not your dream, it's my dream.
Hmm.
So you don't have to tell anyone your dream. You don't have to let anyone know that what are your goals. It's about what you believe in inside of you and what you want to get accomplished. So you have to put the right people that's going to support you, that's going to be in your corner around you. It doesn't have to be a lot of people.
No.
In the world that we live in right now with the social media, you got to shut that off because
Well,
people,
I read a saying that said, um, aim to spend time with people that will fight for you in the rooms you're not in. And that really, I was like, ooh, like when you think about your circle, if I'm not around, I mean, it's human nature. People talk, they share stories about other people, blah, blah, blah. I mean, to some extent it's harmless, but I really try not to get caught up in that at all. It's very low energy vibration for me. And it feels negative, but making sure that circle is, for in a room of opportunity, they're going to put your name forward, even if you're not there.
I tell you what, Janine, I'm glad you said that. I came into the Chicago Bears organization and building, and I would say hello to people, introduce myself to people, and they will say, "Oh, you know what? Such and such told me about you." They call and say, "Man, you're just such a great person." And if somebody I worked with in Seattle
Mm.
that was here in Chicago had already done called and said, "Man, y'all gonna love KJ. Man, y'all gonna enjoy having carry around the building." And I'm saying to myself, he already went behind doors before I even got here,
Ah.
talking and making sure people, introduce themselves to me. And but that's all about relationships. It's all about the way you carry yourself. It's all about surrounding yourself with the right people because the world we in we live in a negative world.
Yeah.
And you spend time on social media reading the news, you don't know what's real, you don't know what's facts. you don't know what's false. Uh, it's about you. It's about your inner belief. It's about your inner mindset of what you want to get accomplished. It
Yeah.
starts in the mind, starts in the heart, and you have to make sure that you got to be careful what poison or negative energy flows into your mind, because that's the noise you got to quiet down. What are you
Yeah.
watching? What are you looking at? What are you listening to? Is it positive? Is it negative? It's who we are. It's our human nature. It's going to transform you if you let it.
Yeah. What you talk a lot about structure, and I always find, you listen to these conversations and you're like, "Oh, that's great. They get it." And then they listen, they're all inspired and like, "Well, what am I supposed to do?" If somebody had a calendar in front of them, and we talk a lot about structure, give us an example of a day in your life. Like a
Okay,
day in your
for
life,
me,
like is it like I think you told me before it's prayer, workout, journal. Just like how would you like I know for me it's journaling. I like to meditate and then I journal. I like to go work out in the morning. I like to do some writing and creative stuff. That's when my juices are flowing. But just from like say 5 a.m. to 12 o'clock, or what's a day in the life of KJ? Yes, obviously with football it's going to change your schedule, but when you're really taking care of yourself and on, tell us what that's
so
like.
so for me, it starts off with a workout in the morning. And I'm gonna do like the off season. I know football season is a little different. For
Hmm.
me, it starts with a workout in the morning. It starts when I do not. I'm be transparent. When I sit up on my bed, I sit at the edge of my bed, and I thank God for allowing me to get up,
Mm.
sit up, and look up. And then I go about my day. And I start out with the workout. Make sure I feel good about myself. I love working out in the morning. I think it gets the body going, it gets the energy going. And then I'll come to my office, and a lot of times, if I'm real sweaty, I take the time to cool off, and I use that time for my prayer time, reading my devotion. I use that time, 30 minutes while I'm trying to hydrate, cool off, to write my visions down in my book, like I just showed you, to read my devotion. And now, once I do that, I was like, okay, my day is ready. I can grab some breakfast. I can get started like right now in the off season. I can start watching the film that I need to watch. Or if we meet as an offensive staff at 8 o'clock in the morning, you got to think from five. I wake up at 5. I got a
Hmm.
3 hour window to be
Yeah.
ready for my 8 o'clock meeting, and get in there, and I sit there for 8 to 12, and we meeting, talking about football, doing the things that we love to do. You get a lunch break. During that lunch break is the time for me to either make some calls, you know, text some people back, do the things that I need to get done within that hour, time. And then
Hmm.
from there, say I go 12 to 1 o'clock. Okay, now it's time for me to start on my next project, which might be watching film on players that are, draft players with the NFL draft coming up. Just spending time looking at film for the afternoon. And that's 3 to 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
and
think you
from
nailed
there,
it with that morning routine. People underestimate. I know people that say, Janine, how do you get up? Like, how do you get up at 4 a.m. or 4:45 or 5? And trust me, I don't want to get up every day at that time. But with the
uh,
days that I don't get up, I am like just irritable and I'm not a good mom
uh,
and I'm short with myself because I missed that time and I'm pouring from an empty cup. And I cannot, like, if you looked at every part of your day, would you agree, for you at least, obviously everyone's got a different schedule, that that morning part of your entire routine sets you up for success?
it does. I think that's very important in everybody's life. How do you start your day?
Hmm.
And it's simple. Do you get up and make your bed?
Yeah.
People don't realize because if you make your bed,
First
when you get up,
accomplishment.
that is, you completed the task already
Hmm.
to start your day. Now you're on to the next one. So I just think that morning time is so, it sets up your day. You could think about it. If you wake up late and you're feeling rushed, your whole day is rushed.
Oh
If
yeah.
you don't take time, if you don't take time to reset yourself and reset your schedule, your
Hmm.
whole day is going to be rushed. And at the end of the day, you're going to look back to say, did I do everything I needed to do? Because I felt like I didn't.
Yeah.
So that's why the morning time is so important to get the flow of your day going.
Do you do anything in the evening?
in the evening time for me, like in all season, like this evening, I'm going to hit some golf balls.
Ah, fun.
I go work on a golf game. Uh, if my wife is in town, we might do dinner.
Hmm.
But in evening time is kind of my time to kind of wind down a little bit. Watch some television when I can, especially in the off season when you get that free time. That's what's very important to me to have me some me time
Yeah.
to get away from work. That's what I think. That's another thing that's important because, like, I'm in Chicago now, so it's a little cold out. So I go to the golf store and I get on a simulator and hit for an hour. But that's my time to get away from football.
Yeah.
It's just it's me, my golf clubs, and that golf ball.
Actually, can you speak to that to athletes watching? Because it's very easy to pigeonhole yourself in one sport. Were you a multi-sport athlete growing up?
I was. I actually growing up in high school, I actually played four sports in high school.
Oh yeah, I
Played
remember.
football. I did. Yeah.
Which one did you
Go
really
ahead.
excel in though? There was it
I did
basketball?
football.
No.
Nah, basketball was the one I just kind of did. I was
Okay.
just felt that, oh, I want to go play basketball. I excelled in football. I excelled in baseball. I
Oh, it was
excelled in
baseball.
track.
Wasn't it
In
baseball?
track.
Okay, track. There we go.
Yeah,
I
I
remember
was a
reading
state champ.
something about you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was state champion in track. I threw the discus and the javelin. Played baseball, basketball. Like I said, I wasn't great in basketball, but it's something I just wanted to do. What it did for me and young athletes need to know, you need to be a multi-sport.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do it, because it just helps to enhance your talent. It enhance your lateral quickness, your speed. If your body and your gift allows you to do it, you need to do it.
It's funny you say that because I've also coached some athletes and they have a really hard time with the same sport but changing positions. Like coaches see potential in you, right? And yes, you may have been you come in for a certain role, but there's already guys in that position, so they want to move you to this or that. And they really struggle mentally with, I'm like, think about this as an opportunity. You could be a dual sport, you've got two roles on one team. You now become more valuable. You got to look at it that way. Have you ever come across that with athletes or teammates or people that you're coaching?
You do, and coaches see it. Coaches see
Hmm.
different things in people, see different skill sets in guys or ladies, and some people fight it. Some
Yeah,
people
they
fight that
do.
transition, but I always use myself as an example because I played quarterback growing up, played quarterback in college, played quarterback 1 year in the NFL, and then I had to switch to safety. But I had the gift and the talent to play defensive back.
Mm,
If I would have fought that and said, no, I'm a quarterback, that's the only thing I want to play, well, that's 4 years that I lose
mm.
playing in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I go back to the word can't. I had some people say, man, it's no way that you can do that. You can't do that. Okay, I'm gonna show you that I can.
I know. Tell
So
me I can't do something and I will prove you wrong. I'm the same
uh,
mentality.
people told me going to the CFL, going back to quarterback. Say, oh, you haven't played quarterback in 7 years. There's no way you're gonna be able to go back and get adjusted to playing quarterback. Okay,
Mm.
since you said it, I'm gonna show it to you.
Yeah.
So it's about being able to adapt and being able to, once again, what is your purpose? What is your goal? If your goal is to play football, if your goal is to play basketball, if your goal is to play hockey, and they want to switch you on the position, but you can still achieve that goal,
Yeah.
what's your purpose? What's your goal?
They switched me to defense my junior year at UNH, and I remember the first month being like, ah, just because I was a strong backwards skater. But then I became a much better athlete because it's like I had eyes on the back of my head. But I resisted it for a solid month, and I thought I was pretty coachable, and I have a good attitude. So,
Uh,
but it was definitely a learning experience for me, and I always try to tell athletes about that. What um, what would you say was your biggest growth year, either as a player or a coach?
my biggest growth.
Like personal growth where you really had a newfound, when I think about growth I think about self-awareness, and I'm trying to teach people mindfulness and self-awareness is how you evolve. There's nothing more to achieve. We know you can achieve, you keep achieving, you think there's more to do, but it's really about stillness and reflection. And which year do you think really challenged you the most from a growth mindset standpoint, where you really are like have
I
this
think
newfound awareness?
I think my first year in the CFL, when I got
Mm.
to Ottawa in 2003, that was one stage for me because I was just going through a divorce. I just went through a divorce. I was going into a new country. I had an opportunity to continue to restart my career, and I was in a position where I knew that I can have an impact on a lot of people. And I remember the team chaplain, Ryan Dawson, who's still a good friend of mine, kind of took me under his wing, and it kind of reset me to realize that at the age of, I can't remember how old I was, I think 29, if I'm not mistaken, that I needed to reset myself.
Yeah.
I need to reset myself. So I can say that was one. I think the second one in my coaching career was probably after my first year in Seattle in the NFL.
Mm.
Uh, no, let me back up. I think my first year coaching in college,
Okay.
because I knew that I had an opportunity to help a lot of young men.
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to inspire and to encourage a
Mm.
lot of young men that was 17, 18 years old coming into a newfound life of being a college athlete and a college student. That was another one where I felt myself grow as more of a mentor
Mm.
because I don't have any kids, but I treated them like they were my kids.
Yeah. And
What
it's
would I do?
funny.
So
Sorry, I was gonna say it's funny. You think you're a leader until you actually become a leader. Like I reflect on this often because I was like we can what's the word I'm looking for? Like I'm a self-starter, self-motivator, but really that those leadership qualities are really when you develop other leaders. And I've had moments where I'm like, okay, you're still just being that individual leader, but now it's when you pluck those people up and it's kind of an invisible growth. You don't realize it all. One day you just wake up and you're like, oh, I'm actually doing what you've read all these things online or you've seen these videos. When was that kind of the feeling that you had in that mentorship piece, or was it at the end of that or
yeah, that's what I felt. I felt that just the impact, having an
mm,
impact on different people, and
yeah,
you can see them year after year take it. You can see them graduate from college and come back and say, Coach,
still
man, I
say thank you.
appreciate you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing that for me and helping me, make the right decision.
Mm,
And then realizing too at the NFL level, the
mhm,
impact that you can have on grown men that's making a lot of money, that's still looking for guidance, still looking
mhm,
for that mentor, looking for that brother that they might not have,
mm.
looking for that father that they might not have. Uh, and it's just taking ownership of it and helping develop. I always say leadership is credit equals credibility,
Mm.
and I have 7 C's that I go by with that, and I just try to make sure I apply those to my walk in life and to what I do.
What are the 7 C's? Are you gonna tell us?
You gonna make me tell you? I have it right here.
Yeah, we need to hear it. You can't drop some
So
goodness like that and not share.
my 7 C's. I start with the calling.
Mm,
I was made for this. I was built for this physically and mentally to do this. Okay. You're talking about character, having character as a leader is about being humble, having some humility and integrity. Okay. You talk about competency. All right. You're talking about, you said it, developing other leaders. How do you develop other leaders within your group, within
mhm,
your organization? I think you got to be able to do that, and then you got to have courage.
yeah.
You got to have courage as a leader because sometimes you got to make the tough decisions. When you're
Mhm,
leading an organization, when you're leading a team, you got to have the courage to say, hey, I'm willing to have those tough conversations. All right. You got to be committed. You got to have commitment because people can sense your commitment.
mm,
People know, people can sense if you truly and are committed to something. All right. And
yeah.
then you got to have compassion. Okay. You got to care about other people. And then you got to be compelling. You got to be willing to
Mm,
inspire other people.
mm.
So that's my 7 C's when I talk about leadership is credibility that I hang my hat on.
I love it. I love it. It's it's beautiful to watch your journey. Um it's a pleasure obviously staying in contact and watching you go through your own growth and the piece about being that coach and that mentor to those young men for me I think is so impactful because when you look at your journey How many coaches and teachers do you remember that really they live with you? They you could have gone this way, and because they said that, you went this way, right?
Yep.
And that's the power of our words, and that's why I'm heart heavy sometimes when you see the noise online that's negative in the world, or people are rushing through their day, or it's like, I heard this saying, we're all walking each other home. And it really humbled me. And I was like, we're not guaranteed tomorrow. We're not guaranteed tonight. Um, if you think like that, how you live and how you treat other people, your conversation is going to be different. But I love those seven C's. And you, to me, are every one of those. You're a stand up class act from a leader who leads by not only words, but actions, respectful, always got that big smile on your face, and people love you. So thank you for being the leader that you are. And I mean, I'm super excited to see what happens for you in Chicago. Is there anything that I didn't maybe ask where, you wish we had touched on for any athletes? Again, we started this series for athletes that were leaving sport due to injury, retirement, or some unforeseen circumstances that forces them to hang up the jersey. And it's really not, it's sports as you know it for that time in your life. Like you're coaching, you're
Mhm.
still in sport, but any final words for someone who's really not ready to, they're stuck in their dark spot and they really just need that hand to lift them up?
It's for me. We talk about vision. We talk about dreams. One thing I always tell people though, the thing that you got to do to separate yourself, you got to be willing to work.
Mm,
You got to be willing to compete. You got to be willing to work because we are in a competitive world. And if you find yourself in a dark place in transition from one job to another, one career to another, we all have been there. If
hmm
you haven't been there, you're gonna go through it at some point. Make sure you got someone that you can lean on to help you through that process because it's not easy.
hmm
And all the nice things you just said about me, I appreciate it. But guess what? Kerry Joseph is not perfect. Kerry Joseph has issues also. But when you can identify them, you know how to deal with them when they pop
hmm
up. You know
Yeah.
how to find a way to get through uh, that situation. Uh, but it takes a lot of work. You got to work. We can talk about everything. You can have all these thoughts and these dreams, but if you're not willing to work
hmm
toward it, I can't promise you it's going to happen for you. It tells you, you're talking about faith, having an inner faith. Well, faith without works is dead.
Yeah.
What does that work? That's believing.
Yeah.
I can have faith. I can have faith. The Chicago Bears are gonna win the Super Bowl. But if
Never
but if I don't come,
practice.
but if we don't practice and if we don't believe in it and go to meetings, do the things that we need to do, that's just
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
Your faith is going to be dead. So that's my encouragement to young athletes, to older adults, people in our generation. You gotta believe, you gotta work, and just make sure you have the right people to support. Make sure you have the right supporting cast in your
Mm.
corner, people that you
Yeah.
can lean on when you go through that transition.
Yeah.
And you got to prepare for that transition. And
hmm
how you prepare for it, you got to prepare for it through networking.
Yeah.
You got to be able to network. You got to, I just read a book called Networking is a Contact Sport.
That's a
It is,
great title.
it
It's
is.
true.
And people don't realize it. When you walk into a coffee shop, it's okay. The person that's in front of you are saying, good morning, how you doing?
hmm
Because you never know who you're saying hello to.
hmm
You
I
never
agree.
know if you never know if you sit there and there's a lady behind you and you turn around and say, hey, you know what? Let me buy you a coffee today.
Yeah.
How you doing? My name is such and such. You never know who you're buying that coffee for. It's
And
a
you never
contact
know if
sport.
they're sitting there contemplating suicide and you just change the whole trajectory of their life, right? You hear stories like that
That's
all the
right.
time.
Somebody dealing with a health issue. You just never know. That's
hmm
why I said it's a contact sport. You got to be willing to connect with people and people, not just people that you know. You got to be able to step outside your comfort zone and to make sure you connect with people. And then now you never know when you might find that right person to put into your corner that can help you get out of that dark space that you might be in.
Yeah. I love that. Well, I mean, you've dropped a ton of nuggets on us today, and it's great to see you again. As always, guys, this is Kerry Joseph. We are episode 54. I can't believe it, of transitioning to life after sport. It's such an honor and pleasure to speak to athletes around the globe about such an important issue that's near and dear to my heart. So thank you so much for contributing
Thank you.
again. There will be a third with you because I love your chats. You're such a grounded, wise individual. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me on. Always a pleasure to see you.
Till next time, Kerry Joseph.